Good afternoon and welcome to Real Estate Radio Chattanooga on 102.3 The Talk Monster. I am Richard Smith, your host for Real Estate Radio, and I am so pleased to bring you each Saturday from 3 to 4 local experts on our Chattanooga area housing and home finance market and on issues and events in our Chattanooga area. If you have a question about purchasing or refinancing a home, call the Chattanooga Home Mortgage Team. You can speak to me at 423-280-0345. Today on our program, I'm excited to welcome Tennessee State Senator Bo Watson of the 11th District to the program. Bo Watson has represented the 11th District in the State Senate since 2006. Is that right? Yep. He previously served as a Tennessee State Representative from 2004 to 2006. And he is a practicing physical therapist at Park Ridge Medical Center.
That's correct. Yep.
His website is www.bowatson.org. Bo, so glad to have you here.
Thank you, Richard. It's a pleasure to be here. Looking forward to it.
Thank you. Well, we're going to have a good talk, a lot to go over today. I think it's important for us to realize that our representatives are not full-time. They have businesses and careers outside of politics. And I actually think that makes a difference in the quality of representation, at least at the state level. I don't know what your thoughts on that are. But
well, I think so. Certainly the fact that everyone who serves in the Tennessee General Assembly has to return back to their district where they live and work and play amongst the citizens that they represent. And I think it helps you to form the thoughts and ideas and dreams that your folks have back home, and then that helps you when you go back to Nashville and formulate policy.
Bo, could you give our listeners some insight into the work of a state senator, your schedule, the office setup?
Sure. Yeah. You know, look, people always say, gosh, you guys are so busy. Everybody's busy. We just have a different kinds of busyness. We are in session, officially in session, from usually January to the middle of May or early June, and then we recess until the next January. During session, I'm over in Nashville, and all of the legislators are over in Nashville Monday afternoon through Thursday morning. I usually leave out from work at Park Ridge around 11 or 12 on Monday, and then try and get back in time on Thursday afternoon to go in and work a little bit. Then after session is completed in May or June, we come back, and I'm working at Park Ridge Medical Center every day. And in between those times, I try to address various issues that are going on in the local community, various events. Of course, this is a campaign year for many of us. This is a re-election year for me as well, so I'm having to do campaign events. I was at a campaign event this morning for the Republican Party as we come together after the various primary races that we
How did you win your, I guess you won your nomination?
I did. I was successful. Fortunately, I was not opposed. I've been told by the political old-timers that there are two ways to run an election, scared and unopposed. So I ran unopposed. But, you know, my colleagues, Richard Floyd, Gerald McCormick, Andy Berg, Vince Dean, Joanne Favors, Tommy Brown, Jim Cobb, we all work very hard in our various districts. Of course, Andy Burke and I are the two senators that represent Hamilton County, but all of us have other things that we do. And so it's long been argued that perhaps if our federal legislators came back and worked in their communities a little bit more, they might have a better understanding of what people are actually thinking back home. I think certainly state legislators have a good feel for what their citizens are thinking.
I've always thought that, and I've said that many times. It may not be feasible on the federal level, though, with the load that they've got, but I sure would like it.
Well, they used to do it. You know, historically, that's the way it worked. They would go over and do the people's business, and then they would adjourn, and they would leave to the administration to run the country, and they'd go back, and most of them were farmers or planters, and they would go back and do their farming and planting, and then come back and do the people's work, and then go back. We're very much structured the way the original government was established.
I'll tell you this, when you have a conversation with Bo Watson, you're going to talk about history. That's a fact.
I am a strong believer that those who do not know their history will be doomed to repeat it.
Well, it's always refreshing to have somebody that can bring that kind of perspective in, and I've always appreciated it. He's well informed in historical, U.S. history primarily, is that?
I'm a big U.S. history fan. I've, of course, took Western civilization, European history when I was in college, but they don't excite me quite much.
Yeah.
I like American history, and particularly since I've been involved in the political realm, American political history, and actually how
Henry
much...
Clay.
Henry Clay was I'm not a huge Henry Clay fan. He was a Whig. Of course, Abraham Lincoln was originally a Whig and became a Republican. But just that many of the issues that we are debating today are issues that have been debated in this country about government and how government functions, have been debated since this country was founded.
What committees are you involved in?
I am chairman of the Government Operations Committee, which is a committee that has oversight over the 250 or so boards, agencies, and commissions that are part of the state of Tennessee. So any department, Department of Commerce, Department of Health, Department of Agriculture, those are all overseen by my committee. I'm a vice chairman of the Health and Human Resources Committee, which deals with most of the healthcare issues that the state faces.
We'll talk about healthcare. I've got some questions about that.
Okay, yeah. Well, everybody likes to talk about healthcare. And then I'm also a member of the Finance Committee, which is responsible for the construction and implementation of the state's budget.
Those are three top important committees.
Very good committees.
I think it's. I don't know how a young senator, junior senator, got on those heavyweight committees.
Well,
Sessions goes from January to June. Maybe rolls over a little bit if there's a budget crisis or something. We haven't had that problem lately, have we?
well, you know, we've been very effective in working on a very difficult budget. And I'm sorry I didn't turn my phone on.
Yeah, I did. That happened to me
Richard.
last week. Phone went off right at the end.
We've been able to work through two very difficult budget cycles, and quite honestly, Richard, we've got two more very difficult budget cycles.
Just staying in touch and staying informed, and just hearing just before the show started, you were telling me about how that works and how much of an effort it is and how you've got it set up. Tell me a little bit about how you stay informed and how citizens can stay in touch with you and how important that is. You mentioned that we talked a couple weeks ago. You said that.
Right. I think people often confuse state government with the federal government. State government in Tennessee, I don't have a large staff of individuals. I basically have two people on my staff. I have my administrative assistant, Glenda Mays, and because I'm a committee chairman, I have a committee analyst, Catherine Hare. And that's really my legislative staff. So for a representative or a senator in the Tennessee General Assembly, our experts are the citizens that we represent. If
I like that. Our experts are the citizens we represent.
Sure, and if I have a piece of real estate legislation that's before me, I'm going to contact people back home in my district in the real estate industry and say, hey, I've got this piece of legislation before me. How does this affect you positively or negatively? What's your opinion of it? And then when we come home for the weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you get out and you move about in your district and you talk to people about what you're dealing with at the state level, and you get feedback from people from all different walks of life. And the great thing about my constituents, and I think any legislator's constituents, is that they are not hesitant to give you their opinion. Now, they may not always know exactly all of the details behind a piece of legislation, but they're very quick, and I very much appreciate that. And I do not take offense when someone disagrees with me. I think civil debate is part of the process, and it helps us when we know the multi-sides to a single issue.
Well, how do citizens stay in touch with you? The website, is that the best way to go?
Well, there are a couple of ways. The easiest way in today's world is through the internet. I have my legislative website. I think if you just Google Senator Bo Watson,
you're on Wikipedia. I told you that. He didn't. Bo Watson is on Wikipedia. I think you've made it when you're on Wikipedia.
Yeah. Well, I feel proud to know that I'm now a Wikipedian, I guess. But, you know, you can Google me. You can go to the website that you've mentioned, bowatson.org, or our phone numbers are printed in the Chattanooga Times News Free Press.
We're talking with Senator Bo Watson. We've been discussing the role of the citizen politician and how citizens can get in touch and be active. I'm Richard Smith, the host of Real Estate Radio Chattanooga. Your home mortgage team is ready to help you with a purchase or refinance. And we'll be right back. The phone number for us is 423-280-0345. And we'll be right back after the break soon, and we'll continue talking with Senator Bo Watson.